If you have ADHD, these habits can quietly destroy your focus without you even noticing. Stay until the end, because the last point is the one that makes every other tip finally work. Today is a what not to do if you have ADHD video. This isn't about shame or blaming yourself. A lot of these habits are just the brain trying to survive the day the fastest way it can. Quick note, this is educational content, not medical advice. If ADHD symptoms are seriously affecting your work, school, relationships, or mental health, it's worth talking with a qualified professional about support and treatment options. All right, let's get into the traps. And keep listening, because in the final section, I'll connect everything into one principle that can flip the whole approach. First, relying on sugar for energy. This one is so common because it works. For a moment, you feel low, foggy, underpowered, and sugar looks like the fastest solution. Candy, soda, a sweet snack. Quick dopamine, quick energy, quick, I can finally move. But here's the problem. When you use sugar as a shortcut for focus, you're often setting yourself up for a crash. The boost is short, and what comes after can feel like the opposite of focus. Brain fog, irritability, and that restless feeling of, I need something else now. And with ADHD, that instability matters. When attention already takes effort, the last thing you want is your energy swinging up and down like a roller coaster. What to do instead? Without turning this into a strict diet video, aim for more stable fuel. If you're grabbing carbs, pair them with something that slows the spike, protein, fiber, or a more real food snack. The goal isn't perfection, it's fewer extreme swings. And notice the pattern here. This isn't a discipline issue. It's a system issue. We'll connect that at the end. Second, staying up late. This might be the most relatable one. The day is finally quiet. Your brain finally has space, and suddenly it's 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Just one more episode, just one more scroll, just one more video. But sleep isn't optional fuel, especially with ADHD. When you stay up late, the next day can feel like walking through mud. You're forgetful, cranky, unfocused, and everything feels harder than it should. And the worst part is the loop. You're tired, so you reach for sugar or caffeine, then you still can't wind down at night. Then the next day is worse. What to do instead? Treat sleep as a base layer. Build one small wind-down routine that you can repeat most nights. Not a perfect routine, just a repeatable one. If you can, reduce screen time close to bedtime and give your brain a shutdown cue that the day is ending. Keep that in mind. This is exactly why the final principle matters, because it changes what you do on your worst days. Third, overdoing caffeine. Caffeine is tricky because sometimes it feels like it helps. You get a push, you get alert, you can start the task. So it's easy to keep going. Another coffee, another energy drink, another just to get through this. But overdoing caffeine can backfire. Instead of focus, you can get jitters. Instead of productivity, you get anxiety, racing thoughts, and then zero sleep later. And if caffeine pushes sleep later, it doesn't just affect tonight. It affects tomorrow's attention, patience, and mood. That's how caffeine can become a short-term solution that quietly worsens the long-term problem. What to do instead? Make caffeine a tool with rules. Try keeping it earlier in the day, and pay attention to how it affects your sleep and anxiety. The goal is not never caffeine. The goal is caffeine that doesn't steal tomorrow. And again, notice the pattern. It's not about being strong. It's about setting up guardrails. Fourth, not thinking ahead. Future planning often doesn't come naturally with ADHD, not because you don't care, and not because you're lazy, but because planning requires holding information, sequencing steps, estimating time, and remembering to check the plan later. So what happens? You don't check your calendar. You miss an appointment. You forget something important, and then you're forced into last-minute chaos. rushing, apologizing, stressing out, and feeling like you're always behind. What to do instead? Externalize your brain. Pick one calendar, one reminder system, one daily check-in time, even if it's 2 minutes. Make it a tiny ritual. Open calendar, scan today and tomorrow. Set one reminder. That's it, because the goal is not be organized forever. The goal is stop relying on memory for things memory is bad at. And keep listening, because the final section will explain why this works better than trying to become a different person. Fifth, starting fights with people. Impulsivity can make you blurt out things you don't mean. And then later, when emotions cool down, you regret it. This can show up in small disagreements. Someone says one thing that hits a nerve, and your brain reacts instantly. Sharp words, a raised voice, a sarcastic comment, or a message you send too fast. And then comes the fallout. Guilt, tension, stress, and relationship damage, which makes ADHD worse, because stress is like gasoline on the fire of distractibility and emotional overwhelm. What to do instead? Build a pause. Not a long pause, a realistic pause. One breath, one sentence, something like, "Give me a minute. I don't want to say this the wrong way. Let me think and come back." You're not delaying forever. You're inserting a tiny space between emotion and action. Remember this line: you don't need perfect emotional control. You need a system that protects you when you're dysregulated. Sixth, masking your ADHD. This is the habit that looks successful on the outside but can be devastating on the inside. Masking is pretending you're normal, forcing yourself to sit still in meetings while your body is screaming to move, hiding fidgeting, not asking for help, acting like you understand instructions when you actually need them written down, saying yes to things you can't realistically sustain. Masking drains energy, and when your energy is drained, every ADHD strategy collapses. Then you feel like you failed, so you mask harder, and the cycle repeats. What to do instead? Replace hiding with support. Pick one area where you stop performing and start accommodating your actual brain. That might mean asking for written instructions, using noise reduction, breaking tasks into smaller steps, or telling one trusted person what helps you function. You don't have to announce ADHD to the world, but you also don't have to fight alone. And now, here's the final point. This is the one that ties all the others together. The last one: stop trying to fix ADHD with willpower, build systems. Here's the twist. Most of the traps we covered aren't bad habits. They're what happens when your brain has to improvise all day. Sugar becomes fuel because meals aren't planned. Sleep gets pushed late because there's no shutdown routine. Caffeine becomes a crutch because the day started behind. Planning fails because it lives in your head. Arguments happen because there's no pause built into your communication. Masking happens because you're trying to cope with zero support. So the upgrade isn't try harder, it's design it so you don't have to. Build a system that still works on low energy days. A default breakfast or snack you don't have to think about. A fixed bedtime trigger. Same time, same simple routine. A caffeine cutoff rule. One calendar check every day. One pause sentence for conflict. One support you actually use instead of hiding. When you stop gambling on motivation and start using systems, everything gets easier. Because you're not forcing focus. You're protecting it. If you only take one thing from this video, take this. Don't demand consistency from your mood. Build consistency into your environment. If you want, comment which one hits you the hardest. Sugar, sleep, caffeine, planning, conflict, or masking. And if you want a part 2, I can do what to do if you have ADHD with practical routines that don't require superhuman discipline.